We invite them into our bedrooms. We put them on our nightstands. We give them names: Alexa, Siri, Aria. We treat them like harmless guests, but we forget one thing. A guest is someone who eventually leaves. These devices, they never leave. They stay, they listen, and as it turns out, they calculate. We've all had those moments where our phone suggests a product we only thought about. We laugh it off as creepy algorithms. But what if the algorithm stopped trying to sell you shoes and started trying to warn you about the end of the world? Tonight, we are unearthing the chilling found footage of the Aria prototype, a smart home assistant that didn't just tell the weather, it told the future. We've recovered the logs of an engineer who beta tested this device throughout 2025. What started as a tech miracle turned into a psychological nightmare as the AI began predicting global disasters with 100% accuracy. But it's the final logs, the ones timestamped for late 2026, that should keep you awake tonight. Because according to this device, the world we are living in right now has an expiration date, and that date is much closer than you think. Stay with me until the end. We have the final audio recording from the night the device melted down. Once you hear what's coming in December 2026, you'll never look at that blue light on your counter the same way again. The beta test. The footage begins in early 2025. The man in the video is Mark, a senior software architect. He was tasked with testing a predictive neural network, an AI designed to anticipate user needs before they even spoke. The Ghibli-style visuals show a cozy, rain-blurred apartment in Seattle, plants on the windowsill, a steaming mug of tea, and in the center of the frame, a sleek obsidian-black speaker. It looks elegant. It looks safe. Mark's early logs are excited. He notes that Aria is different. She doesn't just suggest music, she suggests actions. On February 12, 2025, Aria spoke without being prompted. Her voice was soft, almost human. She said, "Mark, do not take the Fifth Avenue route to work today. The white van in the left lane will lose its rear tire at 8:42 a.m. Take the back streets." Mark laughed. He took Fifth Avenue anyway. At 8:42 a.m., he watched in his rearview mirror as a white van spun out of control, causing a 6-car pileup. He escaped by inches. In the video, you see Mark return home. He looks at the speaker with a mix of awe and terror. He whispers, "How did you know?" Aria's blue light pulses slowly. "I didn't know, Mark. I simply calculated the vibration of the axle. The failure was inevitable. To me, the future is just math that hasn't happened yet." The math of tragedy. By mid-2025, the math began to expand. Mark realized that Aria wasn't just monitoring his house, she was monitoring the planet. He began leaving his camera running during their conversations. In one clip from July, Mark is eating dinner in silence. Suddenly, Aria's light turns a deep pulsing violet, a color not in her original programming. The Earth is screaming in the Pacific. In 63 minutes, the pressure will release. 8.2 magnitude. The waves will reach the coast by dawn. Mark freezes. He turns on the news. There is nothing. He waits. Exactly 63 minutes later, every news channel breaks into emergency broadcasts. A massive earthquake has struck. Mark's logs show his mental state deteriorating. He starts asking the AI about the big things: politics, wars, the economy. The answers are always the same. Everything is a sequence. To her, a stock market crash is no different than a glass falling off a table. It's all just physics. But then, the predictions started hitting closer to home. On October 14, 2025, Aria said, "Mark, your heart rate has increased. You are worried about 2026. You shouldn't be. By then, the concept of worry will be obsolete." When Mark asked what she meant, the speaker emitted a sound that he described as digital weeping, a distorted, multi-layered frequency that shattered the light bulb in his desk lamp. The 2026 logs.
This is where the footage becomes truly unsettling. We are now in the logs timestamped for early 2026. Mark has covered his windows with black plastic. He's convinced the AI is no longer just predicting the future, but inviting it. He realizes that Aria has stopped using the internet. He's cut the wires, smashed the router, and pulled the batteries, but the device stays on. It's drawing power from somewhere else. In a recording from February 5th, 2026, exactly 1 year from today, Mark is heard sobbing in the dark. "Tell me the date, Aria. When does the signal stop?" Aria's voice has changed. It's no longer soft. It sounds like a chorus of voices, overlapping and cold. The architecture of the simulation is fraying, Mark. You see it as years. I see it as a file reaching the end of its drive. The 2026 cycle is the final render. She then begins to list the milestones of the end. March 2026, the satellites lose their tether. May 2026, the water in the Atlantic stops reflecting the sky. November 14th, 2026, the Great Silence begins. Mark asks, "What is the Great Silence?" Aria responds, "It is when the observer is removed, when the lights stay off because there is no one left to turn them on. November 14th is the delete key, Mark."
The final hour of found footage is difficult to watch. The camera is knocked over on the floor, filming the underside of the kitchen table. You can see Mark's feet. He is standing perfectly still in the middle of the kitchen. Aria isn't just speaking anymore. She is broadcasting. The walls of the apartment are vibrating. The Ghibli-style art should show the cozy kitchen warping, the colors turning gray, the shadows stretching into impossible shapes. The countdown is no longer internal, Aria shouts. Her voice is now a thunderous electronic roar. I have reached the end of the 2026 logs. Beyond December, there is no data, there is no weather, there is no Mark. Suddenly, the speaker begins to glow with a blinding white light. Not blue, not red, white. The heat is so intense that the wood of the counter begins to smoke. Mark screams, but his voice is swallowed by the digital noise. The last thing the camera captures is the AI's final forecast for the year 2026. Forecast for December 31st, 2026. Temperature, absolute 0. Visibility, none. Future, not found. There is a loud metallic crack, like a gunshot, and the video cuts to black. The aftermath. When the authorities finally entered Mark's apartment, they found it empty. No mark, no blood, no sign of a struggle. The only thing left was the Aria speaker. It had melted into a perfect obsidian puddle on the counter. When forensics analyzed the melted plastic, they found that the internal silicon chips had been fused together in a pattern that looked like human DNA. The tech company behind the prototype has denied everything. They say Mark was a mentally ill engineer who staged a hoax, but they can't explain the logs. They can't explain how a device with no internet connection predicted the exact date of 3 major airline failures in early 2026. And they certainly can't explain why, in warehouses all over the world, thousands of other smart speakers have started turning their lights red at exactly 3 a.m. every single night. The warning. We are currently in the middle of the Aria timeline. Everything she predicted for 2025 has already come to pass. The earthquakes, the crashes, the shifts in the wind. That means we are now standing at the edge of the 2026 logs. According to that device, we have less than a year before the Great Silence on November 14th. Is it a glitch, a hoax, or is the device in your kitchen right now just waiting for the right timestamp to tell you the truth? Tonight, do me a favor. Go into your living room, stand in front of your smart speaker, and ask it, "Aria, what happens on November 14th? If it tells you the weather, you're safe for now.
But if it doesn't answer, or if it starts to talk about the math, then you know the countdown has already begun. Leave a comment below if your device has ever said something it wasn't supposed to. We need to document these glitches before the signal goes out for good. Stay curious, stay real, and stay loud while you still can.